What if the life you're living right now isn't random? What if, long before you were born, your soul chose this exact body, this exact time in history, and even the struggles you're facing today? Most of us are taught to believe life starts at birth and ends at death, that everything is chance, and we're nothing more than flesh and bone. But deep down, you've always felt that wasn't true. That deja vu you can't explain, that dream that felt more real than reality, that instant connection with someone you've just met, these are not coincidences. They are reminders, echoes of something far greater. In this video, we're going to uncover why your soul chose this life, what happens after death, why we keep returning through reincarnation, and most importantly, how to break free from the cycle. By the end, you'll see that every moment of your existence carries meaning, and that the choice of what comes next is entirely yours. The illusion of reality. You wake up every morning thinking this is your only shot at life. But what if I tell you that you've already lived this exact conversation before? Maybe not these words, but this moment of questioning, this restlessness you feel, it's happened countless times. That deja vu you experience isn't a brain glitch. It's your soul remembering fragments of previous attempts at being human. Ever walked into a room and felt like you'd been there before, even though you know you haven't? That's not imagination. That's cellular memory bleeding through the veil. Here's what they don't want you to realize. You chose to be here, not just once, but repeatedly. Your soul signed up for this earth experience like enrolling in the world's most intense university. But here's the catch. Every semester, they wipe your memory clean. Think about your deepest, most irrational fear. The one that makes no logical sense based on your current life experiences. Where do you think that came from? That phobia of drowning when you've never been in deep water. That terror of heights when you've lived a ground-level life. Those aren't random anxieties. They're echoes from previous lifetimes your conscious mind has forgotten, but your soul still carries. You know that person you met and instantly felt connected to? Like you'd known them forever? You probably have. Soul contracts aren't just spiritual poetry. They're real agreements made between consciousness before birth. You plan to meet certain people, to learn specific lessons, to resolve unfinished business. But here's where it gets darker. Most souls never graduate from this school called Earth. They keep coming back, trapped in the same patterns, making the same mistakes, chasing the same empty promises. Why? Because they never learned the most crucial lesson. Nothing here is permanent. Every attachment you form is a chain that pulls you back. That house you're working yourself to death for? That relationship you can't let go of? That career that defines your identity? These aren't just life choices. They're spiritual anchors keeping you locked in the reincarnation cycle. The system is designed to make you forget. From childhood, you're programmed to chase external validation, to measure worth by achievements, to believe happiness comes from accumulation. But every soul that falls for this illusion signs up for another round of Earth School. Death isn't the end, it's intermission. When your body dies, your consciousness doesn't vanish. It transitions to a space where everything becomes clear again. You remember who you really are, why you came, what you were supposed to learn. And then comes the choice. Ascend beyond this realm, or return for another attempt. Most choose to return, not because they're forced, but because they're still attached, still believing they need one more lifetime to get it right, still convinced they can find lasting satisfaction in temporary experiences. But some souls see through the illusion. They realize that the game itself is the trap. They understand that winning within the system still means playing by rules designed to keep them imprisoned. These rare souls choose differently. The secret to breaking free isn't about rejecting life, it's about transcending attachment to it. When you stop identifying with your temporary human costume and start recognizing yourself as the eternal consciousness wearing it, everything shifts. Your soul remembers this truth, even when your mind forgets. That restless feeling you carry, that sense that something's missing, that's your inner knowing trying to wake you up from the collective dream. Most people will read this and go back to their routines, dismissing it as interesting philosophy. But if something deep inside you is stirring, if these words feel like remembering rather than learning, then maybe, just maybe, this is your final lifetime. The choice is always yours. Continue the cycle or break free. Your soul is ready for the truth. The question is, are you? Earth as a school of the soul. You've been asking the wrong question your entire life. Instead of, why is this happening to me? You should be asking, why did I choose this to happen to me? Right now, as you're listening to this, you're probably thinking about that one devastating experience that nearly broke you. The betrayal that shattered your trust. The loss that left you empty. The failure that crushed your dreams. What if I told you that your soul specifically selected that exact experience before you were even born? Here's the truth that will shake you. Earth isn't a random playground. It's an intensive training facility for consciousness evolution. And your soul? It's not a victim here, it's a volunteer. But not just any volunteer. It's an advanced student who chose the master's program in human suffering. Think about the people who hurt you most. That parent who never showed you love. That partner who destroyed your heart. That friend who betrayed your deepest secrets. Feel that familiar ache rising in your chest? That's not just pain. That's your soul recognizing its chosen teachers. The harshest lessons always come from the people closest to your heart, because those are the only wounds deep enough to crack your ego wide open. Your soul knew exactly what it was signing up for. Before birth, it reviewed the curriculum, childhood trauma to build resilience, failed relationships to learn unconditional love, financial struggles to discover inner worth, health crises to find spiritual strength. And it said yes to every single brutal lesson. But here's what your human mind can't grasp. Your soul chose the difficult path because easy lessons don't create transformation. You can't learn courage without facing fear. You can't develop compassion without experiencing pain. You can't discover your power without first feeling powerless. Every time you've been knocked down, something inside you got stronger. Every heartbreak carved more space in your chest for love. Every failure taught you what truly matters. Your suffering wasn't meaningless. It was curriculum designed specifically for your soul's evolution. That restless feeling you carry, that sense that you're meant for something bigger, that's your soul remembering why it came here. You didn't come to Earth for comfort. You came for growth that can only happen in the pressure cooker of human experience. Look at your life's pattern. Notice how your biggest breakthroughs always followed your darkest moments. The job loss that led to your dream career, the divorce that freed you to find real love, the illness that taught you what health actually means. This isn't coincidence, it's intelligent design by your own higher consciousness. Some souls choose easy incarnations, simple lives with minimal challenges. But you chose the advanced course. You volunteered for emotional boot camp. You signed up for the PhD program in human consciousness expansion. The people around you living seemingly perfect lives, they're in kindergarten compared to your graduate level studies. Their souls chose different lessons. Yours chose intensity because it knew it could handle it. Here's the secret they don't teach in any spiritual course. Your soul doesn't just want you to survive these experiences, it wants you to master them, to find peace in chaos, love in betrayal, strength in weakness, purpose in pain. Every challenge is a graduation exam. Every trauma is a thesis you must complete. Every relationship is a laboratory for practicing unconditional love. Earth School is harsh because consciousness evolution requires intensity that comfort zones can't provide. The journey after death. You've been unconscious before. Surgery, deep sleep, maybe even fainting. But you always came back to the same body, the same identity, the same limited perspective. Death is different. Death is waking up from a dream you didn't even know you were having. In those first moments after your heart stops, something extraordinary happens. Your consciousness doesn't fade, it expands. Suddenly, you're not looking through two physical eyes anymore. You're seeing from every angle at once, experiencing reality from a perspective that would have been impossible while trapped in flesh. That life review everyone talks about? It's not a movie playing on some cosmic screen. You become every person you ever affected. Feel that cruel comment you made in high school? Now you experience it from your victim's perspective. Remember that moment of unexpected kindness to a stranger? You feel their gratitude as if it were your own emotion. But here's what no near-death account tells you. The review isn't just about this lifetime. You're simultaneously experiencing the ripple effects of your actions across multiple incarnations. That random act of generosity from your current life might be healing trauma you caused in a previous existence. Your soul keeps detailed records, and death is audit time. Some consciousness gets stuck during this transition. Not because they're forced to, but because they can't let go of unfinished business. That ghost story from your childhood, that presence you felt in your grandmother's house after she passed, these aren't Hollywood fantasies. These are souls refusing to release their earthly attachments. Think about someone you lost, who you swear you still feel around you sometimes. That subtle scent that reminds you of them. That song on the radio at the exact moment you're thinking of them. Your rational mind dismisses it as coincidence, but your heart knows better. Some souls choose to linger in the in-between space because their love for you is stronger than their need to move forward. The transition itself feels like remembering something you've always known, but somehow forgot. Imagine suddenly recalling every dream you've ever had all at once. That overwhelming flood of recognition. That's consciousness returning to its natural state without the filters of human perception. Your deceased loved ones aren't gone. They're in a state of expanded awareness, watching your life unfold like reading chapters in a book they helped write. They can't intervene directly, but they can influence your reality in subtle ways. That sudden urge to take a different route home that saved you from an accident, that unexpected phone call from an old friend exactly when you needed support. These aren't coincidences. They're love in action from the other side. The souls that move forward quickly are the ones who learned to practice dying while they were still alive. They spent time in meditation, releasing attachments, understanding that identity is temporary but consciousness is eternal. They treated their physical existence like wearing clothes, comfortable while needed, but easy to remove when the day was done. But most souls experience shock during transition. They expected either complete darkness or some religious afterlife scenario. Instead, they find themselves in a realm that responds to their thoughts and beliefs, creating experiences that match their expectations while slowly expanding their understanding. The hardest part isn't leaving the body, it's leaving the story. Letting go of the narrative that defined their human experience. Releasing the need to be right about their beliefs, their grudges, their definitions of success and failure. Death reveals the ultimate truth. You are never just this single lifetime. You are consciousness having a temporary human experience, and now that experience is complete. The cycle of reincarnation. Ever feel like you're living the same day over and over? Like you're stuck in patterns you can't break? Welcome to the reincarnation cycle, the universe's most elaborate repeat button, and you've been hitting it for centuries. That friend who keeps dating the same toxic personality in different bodies? That coworker who makes the same self-destructive choices repeatedly? That's not just bad decision making. That's a soul stuck on spiritual autopilot, cycling through the same lessons, lifetime after lifetime, because they never learned to break the pattern. Here's what will shake you. You've probably been married to your current spouse before, multiple times, in different countries, different centuries, different genders. That instant recognition you felt when you met, that wasn't love at first sight. That was soul recognition. Your consciousness saying, "Oh, it's you again." But here's the twist most people miss. Karma isn't punishment, it's education through repetition, like a cosmic teacher making you retake the same test until you finally pass. Every lifetime, you're presented with slight variations of the same core challenges. The faces change, the circumstances shift, but the lesson remains constant. Think about your biggest character flaw, the one that keeps sabotaging your relationships, your career, your happiness. How many times this lifetime have you promised yourself you'd change it? Now imagine your soul making that same promise for the past 500 lifetimes, failing each time, and signing up for another round. Most souls return, not because they have to, but because they're addicted to the drama. They've become comfortable with struggle, familiar with suffering. The known pain feels safer than unknown peace. So they choose the devil they know, another human experience with the same unresolved issues. Your phobias are breadcrumbs from past lives. That inexplicable fear of water, you probably drowned. That terror of enclosed spaces, maybe you were buried alive. Your subconscious carries the scars while your conscious mind starts fresh, wondering why you're afraid of things that never happened to you. The souls who break the cycle share one quality. They stop blaming external circumstances for their patterns. They realize the common denominator in all their problems across lifetimes is themselves. This isn't self-hatred, it's self-responsibility at the deepest level. Breaking free requires recognizing that you're not a victim of your circumstances. You're the author of your experiences. Every challenge you face is a test you designed for yourself before birth. Pass the test, and you graduate to higher levels of existence. Fail, and you repeat the grade. The cycle continues until one lifetime when something clicks. When you finally say, I'm done playing this game, when you choose growth over comfort, awareness over autopilot, evolution over repetition. That moment of awakening is your soul's graduation ceremony. Most will read this and forget it by tomorrow, returning to their patterns. But if something deep inside you is stirring, if these words feel like remembering rather than learning, then maybe, just maybe, this is your final exam. The weight of attachment. Ever notice how you reach for your phone the moment you're alone with your thoughts? That's not boredom. That's your soul trying to tell you something you're not ready to hear. Right now, as you listen to this, there's a version of you watching yourself listen. Can you feel it? That quiet observer behind your eyes, the one that notices when you're anxious, excited, or completely lost in thought. Most people live their entire lives without ever meeting this part of themselves. Here's what nobody tells you about self-awareness. It's terrifying at first. When you start paying attention, really paying attention, you realize how much of your day runs on autopilot. You catch yourself mid-sentence, repeating the same complaints your mother made. You notice your hand reaching for that third cup of coffee, not because you want it, but because it's 2 p.m., and that's what you do at 2 p.m. Think about your last argument. Were you actually upset about what happened, or were you triggered by something deeper? Maybe the way your father used to dismiss you, or the fear that you're not being heard. The mind is a master storyteller, weaving present moments into ancient wounds. But here's the breakthrough moment. When you can observe your thoughts without becoming them, when you can watch your emotions rise and fall like weather patterns, you realize something profound. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the space in which they appear and disappear. This isn't philosophy. This is practical magic. When you stop identifying with every thought that crosses your mind, when you stop believing every story your ego tells you about who you are and what you need, life becomes lighter. Decisions become clearer. Drama becomes optional. The people around you will notice before you do. They'll say you seem different, calmer, more present, because you've stopped fighting reality and started dancing with it instead. What if the peace you're seeking isn't something you need to find, but something you need to stop covering up? Breaking free from the cycle, the hamster wheel you call success. You know that moment when you finally get what you've been chasing for months. The promotion, the relationship, the perfect apartment. And instead of lasting joy, you feel empty. Like you're already scanning the horizon for the next thing to want? That's not failure. That's the universe showing you the truth about desire itself. Here's what's really happening. Every time you think, I'll be happy when, you're programming yourself to be unhappy now. Your brain doesn't distinguish between getting the thing and wanting the thing. Both states keep you locked in the same cycle of incompleteness. Watch yourself tomorrow. Notice how many times you say I need versus I want versus I have enough. Most people live their entire lives in a state of manufactured scarcity, convinced they're missing something essential. But what if the feeling of not enough isn't about what you lack? What if it's about how you're looking? There's a reason why lottery winners often end up more miserable than before they won. The external circumstances changed, but the internal operating system remained the same. They were still the same person who believed happiness comes from outside. The cycle breaks the moment you realize this. Your desires aren't even yours. They're borrowed from advertisements, social media, family expectations, cultural programming. That career path you're stressed about, whose dream is it really? That lifestyle you're grinding toward, who told you that's what success looks like? True freedom isn't about having everything you want. It's about questioning why you want it in the first place. When you stop believing your thoughts about what you need, when you stop identifying with the voice that's always comparing and measuring and wanting more, something extraordinary happens. You discover you were already whole. The thing you've been searching for outside was never missing. It was just covered up by all the noise about what you should be seeking. The keys to liberation. Ever sat in complete silence and felt like someone was staring at you? Not from outside, from inside. Like there's someone behind your thoughts, quietly watching the whole show? That's not your imagination. That's you meeting yourself for the first time. Here's what nobody tells you about meditation. The goal isn't to stop thinking. Your mind will keep chattering like a radio you can't turn off. The breakthrough comes when you realize you're not the radio. You're the one listening to it. Try this right now. Close your eyes for 10 seconds and notice the voice in your head reading these words back to you. Who's doing the reading? And more importantly, who's listening? Most people live their entire lives identified with the voice, believing they are their thoughts. But think about this. If you can observe your thoughts, if you can watch your emotions come and go, if you can notice when you're angry or sad or excited, then who is doing the observing? That observer never changes. It was there when you were 5 years old, watching you learn to tie your shoes. It was there last Tuesday, watching you stress about that meeting. It's here right now, watching you process these words. Same witness, different movie. This is what meditation actually reveals. You're not the temporary character in this life story. You're the eternal awareness experiencing the character. The job title, the relationship status, the bank account, even the personality traits you think define you. They're all costumes worn by something much deeper. The strangest part? Once you recognize this observer, you can't unsee it. It changes how you react to everything. Traffic jams become less personal. Criticism bounces off differently. Fear loses its grip because you realize what you truly are can never be threatened. What would shift in your life if you stopped identifying with the story and started recognizing the storyteller? 5 minutes of silence. That's all it takes to begin remembering who you've always been underneath everything you think you are. Awakening in this lifetime. You know that feeling when you finish watching a powerful movie and for about 10 minutes afterward, you see the world differently? Then your phone buzzes, someone calls, and by bedtime, that profound moment has dissolved completely? That's happening to you right now. This conversation is your movie moment. Here's the brutal truth. Most people who hear this will screenshot the title, save it to a playlist they'll never revisit. And by Thursday, they'll be complaining about the same problems we just solved, not because they didn't understand, because understanding threatens the familiar story they tell themselves about why their life is hard. There's something your subconscious knows that your conscious mind resists. Growth requires letting go of the identity you've spent years building. The version of you that needs to be stressed, needs to be seeking, needs to have problems to solve. Without that identity, who would you be? Most people would rather stay miserable in a story they know than risk being happy in a reality they don't recognize. But you're still here. After everything we've discussed, you're still listening. That tells me something about you that maybe you don't even realize yet. There's a reason certain conversations find you at exactly the right moment. It's not coincidence, it's recognition. Your soul calling to something it remembers, but your mind has forgotten. The fact that these words resonate isn't because I'm saying something new. It's because I'm reminding you of something ancient that you've always known. Right now, you have two choices. You can treat this like entertainment, like content to consume and forget, or you can recognize this as the invitation it actually is. The people who change their lives don't just collect insights, they act on them. They don't just understand the truth, they live it. What you do in the next 60 seconds will determine which category you belong to. Will you close this and return to the cycle? Or will you take the next step toward the person you came here to become? Signs. Your soul is remembering. You know that chill that runs down your spine when someone says something that hits too close to home? Not fear, something deeper. Like your cells just recognized a truth your brain hasn't caught up to yet. Your body is keeping score of things your mind never witnessed. Watch what happens when you're around certain people. Some drain your energy within minutes, even when they're being perfectly nice. Others make you feel more alive just by being in the room. Your mind tries to analyze their words, their actions, but your gut already knows. It's reading frequencies your conscious awareness can't detect. Have you ever had a song make you cry for reasons you can't explain? Or felt overwhelming nostalgia for a place you've never been? That's not random emotion, that's recognition. Something in you remembers what your storytelling mind has no context for. Here's the part that will mess with your head. Your intuition about people is almost never wrong, but you've been trained to ignore it. How many times have you gotten a bad feeling about someone, dismissed it as being judgmental, only to find out later your first instinct was right? Your dreams aren't just your brain filing away the day's events. They're conversations with parts of yourself that only surface when your logical mind goes offline. That person who keeps appearing in your dreams but doesn't exist in your waking life. That place that feels more real than your actual bedroom. Your subconscious is trying to show you something important. The most unsettling part, sometimes you know things you shouldn't know. You call your friend right when they need you most. You take a different route home, and later find out there was an accident on your usual path. You think of someone moments before they text you. What if what you call coincidence is actually your deeper knowing, trying to guide you back to who you really are? Practical steps to awaken. It's 3 a.m. and you can't sleep. Your mind is spinning with tomorrow's problems, replaying today's conversations, creating scenarios that will never happen. in that restless darkness, there's a choice happening that most people never notice. You can either become the victim of your thoughts, or you can become their observer. That moment, right there in your bed, in the dark, is where awakening actually happens. Not on a meditation cushion, not in some mystical experience, but in the mundane middle of your ordinary life. Here's what nobody tells you about spiritual practice. It's not about adding more things to your day. It's about changing how you exist in the moments you're already living. Start with the mirror test. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone, before you brush your teeth, look directly into your own eyes for 30 seconds. Not at your hair, not checking for flaws. Into your eyes. Most people can't do this. They'll look away, get uncomfortable, find excuses. Why? Because they're not used to meeting themselves without the mask of being busy. Who's looking back at you in that mirror? Is it the person you pretend to be at work? The role you play in your family? Or is it someone deeper? The one who's been watching all these performances your whole life? The awareness exercise that changes everything. Catch yourself in the act of being automatic. You're stirring your coffee, but where are you really? Planning the day? Rehashing last night? Most people live their entire lives one step away from where they actually are. The practice is simple. Notice when you're not here and gently come back. No judgment, just return. Here's the detachment ritual that actually works. At the end of each day, ask yourself this question. What did I take personally today that wasn't actually about me? That criticism from your boss? Your partner's bad mood? The slow internet connection that ruined your morning? Write it down, then literally cross it out. You're training your nervous system to stop absorbing every external event as a personal attack. The journaling technique they don't teach you. Don't write about what happened to you. Write about who was experiencing what happened. There's you getting stuck in traffic, and there's the awareness that noticed you getting frustrated about traffic. Write from the perspective of that witness. It sounds subtle, but it rewires everything. Most people treat meditation like a performance, trying to have the right experience, judging their thoughts, forcing calmness. Real meditation is simpler and more radical. Sit still and discover that you're not who you think you are. 5 minutes of watching your mind spin reveals more truth than years of reading about enlightenment. The practice that separates the curious from the committed. Start questioning your reactions, not changing them, questioning them. Why did that comment trigger you? What belief got activated? What part of your identity felt threatened? Your reactions are doorways to the unconscious patterns running your life. Here's how you'll know it's working. Life will start feeling less personal. Drama that used to consume you becomes interesting instead of devastating. You'll catch yourself smiling at situations that used to make you angry. Not because you don't care, but because you finally understand what's really happening. Conclusion. Right now, something is different about you. You can feel it, can't you? That subtle shift in how you're looking at your own life. Like someone just adjusted the lens on a camera you didn't even know you were looking through. This isn't the end of a video. It's the beginning of a recognition. Every word you've heard today was designed to wake up something that's been sleeping inside you. Not to give you new information, but to remind you of what you've always known, but forgotten how to access. Here's what's going to happen next. You're going to close this video and return to your regular life. Your phone will buzz. Someone will need something from you. The world will try to pull you back into the same patterns, the same reactions, the same sleep you've been living in. But something has shifted. There's a part of you now that's awake and watching. When you catch yourself getting pulled into drama, there will be a pause, a split second where you remember you have a choice. When your mind starts spinning its familiar stories about what you need to be happy, there will be a whisper. Who's listening to these thoughts? The people around you might not notice at first, but they'll sense something different. You'll respond instead of react. You'll be present instead of distracted. You'll move through your days with a quiet knowing that you're not just this body, this name, this temporary story. Some of you will take this deeper. You'll start practicing the techniques we've discussed. You'll begin questioning everything you've assumed about yourself and reality. You'll discover that awakening isn't a destination. It's a way of being that gets richer and more mysterious the further you explore it. But here's the most important thing. This conversation doesn't end here. What you've experienced today is just the surface of what's possible when you start living consciously. There are layers upon layers of insight, practical techniques, and profound realizations waiting for those ready to go deeper. That's why you need to subscribe and turn on notifications. This isn't just content. It's a transmission of consciousness that builds on itself. Each video we create is designed to meet you exactly where you are in your awakening journey and take you deeper into the mystery of who you really are. The people who transform their lives aren't the ones who watch once and forget. They're the ones who stay engaged, who let these insights compound, who treat awakening as an ongoing exploration rather than a one-time event. Your soul brought you to this moment. It guided you through whatever algorithm or recommendation led you here because it was ready to remember. But remembering is just the beginning. The real adventure starts when you begin living from this deeper knowing. Don't let this be another video you consume and forget. Let it be the moment you started taking your awakening seriously. Subscribe now. Your future self, the one who's fully awake, is waiting for you to take the next step.